So last year, with the 4th overall pick, the Indianapolis Colts took quarterback Anthony Richardson out of Florida. And so last year obviously was a major disappointment for Richardson. He only appeared in 5 games, started 4, only played in 173 snaps in total in 2023. So definitely a disappointing season for Richardson, but a season that was full of some promise early on when he was on the field. And obviously the elephant in the room with a guy like Anthony Richardson is going to be his health. No doubt about that. But, I've been seeing different people who have been talking about that. If Anthony Richardson is fully healthy, and that is a big if, but if he is fully healthy in 2024, where is his ceiling? Like, what's his potential in 2024? And so I decided I wanted to make a quick video discussing this. So we're going to be talking all about Anthony Richardson today in this video. So let's get to it, guys. So we got to start here with talking about Richardson in year number 1. Now, do you remember kind of the storyline and some of the narratives last year after the Colts took Richardson, and even the pre-draft process as well, was the fact that this kid, extremely young, extremely raw, but has all the tools to be a franchise quarterback in this league. He has a great mindset. He's obviously extremely athletic, and he can do some really, really good things. He displayed that in college, but the biggest thing was he's just still a raw prospect. I mean, we talked about all the games that he played. It was only 13 games in college, so he really didn't have a ton of experience coming into the NFL, but the potential that he flashed was definitely something that we have really not seen from a quarterback ever in the NFL. I mean, the dude scored 10 out of 10 RAS score, broke multiple combine records. I mean, this dude was just on a different level physically, right? So the question was never for Richardson was his ability. It was always just the consistency, right? But last year when we looked at Anthony Richardson and the games that he did play, right? The 4.5 games, however you want to look at it, because there were a couple games where he left early in a couple of those matchups. So if you want to say 4, if you want to say 5, however you want to look at it, Anthony Richardson didn't play a lot in 2023, but for the games that he did play, he was absolutely electric for the Indianapolis Colts. And I think in a lot of ways, he actually showed a lot more poise and a lot more abilities immediately than a lot of people thought. I mean, a lot of people thought he was going to be just raw prospect. He was going to be just terrible. Essentially, I think people thought that Anthony Richardson was essentially going to be the rookie equivalent of what Josh Allen was his rookie season. I think that was kind of the mindset for a lot of different people. And while it wasn't necessarily the greatest, statistical season for Anthony Richardson through those 4 games that he started, I mean, overall, you look at it, just a hair under 60% completion percentage, 577 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He did also rush as well, and he finished with a 87.3 quarterback rate. So it wasn't the greatest thing in the world for Anthony Richardson, but again, he showed a lot of potential. In only 4 games, he scored 3 passing touchdowns. That's not even factoring in as well the rushing statistics for Anthony Richardson. So he rushed 25 times for 136 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. So essentially, in 5-ish games, Anthony Richardson scored 6 touchdowns. So, I mean, this kid was showing the potential. The potential was oozing out for Anthony Richardson. I mean, you can even make the argument from a couple of these games that Richardson maybe didn't even play fully 4 games, right? I mean, like I talked about, 173 snaps. I mean, that's not a lot of snaps, but Anthony Richardson in 173 snaps scored 6 total touchdowns. So, I mean, obviously he's going to have to continue to develop himself as a passer. There's no question about that. He's definitely not even near, he's nowhere close to elite when it comes to that category. But Anthony Richardson definitely showed some positive steps in the right direction that you feel really good about him developing in year number 2, if he can stay healthy. That's the biggest question mark. That's the biggest thing with Anthony Richardson. But if he can't stay healthy, I think there are a lot of positive steps in the right direction for Anthony Richardson that makes you think he can potentially be even better in 2024. I mean, this kid, talk about it, he's humble, doesn't have a big head, he's smart, and he's still learning. He's still growing. He's only 21 years old, so the potential is still sky high. He's oozing with talent. Heck, he's even younger than some of the quarterback prospects that came out of this year's draft. A lot of them he's younger than or right on par with when it comes to age. So essentially, he's a rookie this year for the Indianapolis Colts, right? And so like I mentioned, just with the experience thing, I think that's the biggest thing that Richardson needs. He just needs to be on the field and playing. And even if he does have his struggles, in 2024, that's fine. He needs to grow. He needs to be better. He needs to, gain that experience, good and bad experience, in order to just be better, right? Because that's the only way that any of these young quarterbacks get to where they need to be. They just need to be on the field, playing, learning, and growing as they go along. And so I really do think just the potential-wise, I don't know about 2025, but definitely if Richardson's on the field, I think he does have that top 10 potential even as early as this year. Will he get to that point? That's another question. We don't entirely know if he'll reach that point in essentially his rookie season, right? Because he's still got some things he's got to iron out, right? Even when he was on the field, he was by no means elite when it came to passing the football. Now, again, as a multi-dual threat quarterback, absolutely. He was absolutely electric for the Colts. No question about that. But again, when it comes to pure passing, he's got a ways to go. I mean, I think that's fair. He's got a ways to go, but he's definitely trajecting in the right direction for the Indianapolis Colts. And he's got obviously Shane Steichen, the head coach, and we know what he did last year with Gardner Minshew. And so, I mean, if he can do that with Gardner Minshew, how much more can this Colts offense, even take it to another level in 2024? I mean, when Richardson was on the field, the Colts were one of the best teams in terms of explosive plays in the NFL, right? So with Richardson fully healthy, fully back, looks very determined and ready to go and wants to be on the field, and hopefully he can, I really believe that if he's on the field, he can really take this Colts offense to another level. No doubt about that. And I mean, not to mention the fact that now, he has a year under his belt in the Shane Steichen system. Mentally, I'm sure that's got to help. And even though obviously it's not the same as the physical reps, the mental reps that he gained over the year being in this system, I think are going to be very valuable for him. I mean, just learning behind Gardner Minshew as well, I think was definitely valuable for him as well. So Richardson's going to have a lot of things going his way. The great news is, we know now the Colts have a really good offensive line. Last year, that was in question. We know Jonathan Taylor's going to be here for the long term. That was in question. They added another weapon in Adonai Mitchell as well. So that's definitely another thing. That's a factor too. So it seems like there's a lot more things in place that are a lot more known than they were Richardson's rookie year, right? We know Shane Steichen can call plays and obviously has the potential to really use whoever's at his disposal to really do some good things. And so you feel good about a lot of the things around Anthony Richardson and just his natural progression and his natural growth. You do feel like that's the next logical step for him, is to grow as a quarterback this year. Now, again, I'll keep saying it because it is such an important factor. He has to be on the field. He has to be on the field in 2024 if any of this is going to happen. He's got to be on the field. There's no doubt about that. If he is on the field, no doubt, Anthony Richardson has that potential to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But again, we have not really seen him, in a lot of those games where, he's having to basically be the guy. I mean, we saw a little bit in that Rams game. That was about the closest thing we saw last year, where Anthony Richardson kind of put the team on his back and pretty much should have led them to victory if it wasn't for the defense basically selling at the end of that game. But we saw a little glimpse of that, which makes you think there's a lot more to be tapped into. But I just want to see Anthony Richardson in some more of those clutch moments where he has to decide and has to figure it out how to play in the clutch and how to deliver, right? And I want to see him in more of a passing, situation where, he starts picking apart a defense. We just haven't seen that yet from Anthony Richardson. So just that part of the game, I definitely want to see him take a step up in 2024. I think if he can do that, no doubt, with his running ability, he has the potential to be extremely dynamic in 2024. I mean, we talk about the potential all the time, but potential is only potential until you fulfill it, right? And so Anthony Richardson has to fulfill it. We've heard that word potential for a long time with a lot of different players around Indianapolis, but now is the time that Anthony Richardson for the Indianapolis Colts needs to take that potential and turn it into stardom. He needs to be productive for the Colts. He needs to be on the field for the Colts, and he needs to give the Colts and their fans a lot to be excited about. I mean, fans are already excited about Richardson returning, but imagine if he plays all 17 games in the regular season and picks up where he left off in 2023 and maybe even takes it to another level in terms of passing the football. It's very exciting stuff if you're an Indianapolis Colts fan, if you support the Colts. I mean, even if you work for the Colts, I'm sure it's an exciting time because you have a lot of good things you feel about with this team. The team's going to go where Anthony Richardson takes it or doesn't. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is like you go only as far as your quarterback will take you. And if Anthony Richardson can take the Colts to where they want to go, then there's reason to believe that the Colts could be one of the best teams of the AFC for a long, long time. But again, all contingent on Richardson's availability and Richardson's progress as a player in 2024 and moving forward. So guys, let me know your thoughts here on Anthony Richardson, on his potential in 2024. Really curious what your thoughts are on him. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.